For some reason, I like using the Z Fold 2, but I know that the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 is the only folding phone that you should be buying in 2023. Don't believe me? Let me explain. Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and yes, the Z Fold 3 is perfect to buy used if the Z Fold 5 isn't out by the time that you watch this. Let's get started so I can tell you why that is. Imagine thinking that you could actually get good value out of a folding phone. Well, with the Z Fold 3, you actually do. Clearly, the Z Fold 2, 3, and 4 are very similar, but not the same phones, with the Z Fold 4 clearly being the best. But the price is a huge thing for people because everyone wants everything for free. Well, how about 73% off? And that's double the storage. Yes, at launch, this phone was $1,800, which was a discount from the inflated $2,000 Z Fold 2. So when you compare the two, or if you see my video that I did on the Z Fold 2 and Z Fold 3 over the last couple of years, then you can conclude that the Z Fold 3 is a no-brainer. I guess that's the end of the video, right? I guess if you really wanted to, you could probably just choose the Z Fold 4, which has lost over 50% of its value since launch, which itself is not too bad if you're trying to buy this phone used. But the value gain is debatable. On the Z Fold 4, you do get a better feeling outer screen design, brighter screens, better processor, better camera system on the back with a 50 megapixel main and a 3x optical zoom over the 12 megapixel set and 2x optical, 8K video capture, and a slightly smaller and lighter design. Really, it's the usual upgrades, but for another $400 or more, is it really worth it? I was looking for a used Z Fold 2 and Z Fold 3 and found a respective $479 and $599 example that gives you double the storage. So why would you buy the Z Fold 2 or the Z Fold 4 if saving money is important to you? Now obviously I haven't really explained what you get from this phone, and really that last section is just telling you why I don't see any other fold as a viable purchase due to the value of what you get. And I'm saying that for all types of folds, not just Samsung, as the Oppo Find N is still $800 plus for a used model. Just so we're on the same page, the Oppo Find N and the Z Fold 3 have the same processor. And while we're at it, let's just get the specs out of the way. I'll talk about the importance of most of it, but here's the spread. Pause if you need to, move on when you want. I compare the Find N because that's similar in performance. The Snapdragon 888 chip might be better optimized to Samsung's devices, but I'm not able to say that for a fact if that's true because I don't have the Find N. But if I had to guess, I would say that it is. This phone has 12 gigabytes of RAM and 8 gigabytes of virtual RAM and makes this phone fly and leaves me waiting for nothing. With basic apps or heavy apps, I never find myself complaining about the speed at all, honestly. Mix that with a 120Hz display on the 7.6-inch inside and 6.2-inch outside OLED panels, and you're given one of the best content viewing handhelds you can buy. It feels bright enough for most of the situations that I put this phone in, so I wouldn't really worry too much about that. There is a crease on the inside screen, but it isn't something that you notice during everyday usage, just like that hiding hole punch camera. It is weird if you look at both of them straight on, but you do end up forgetting that they're there. You can watch videos and movies on here, waste time on blown up social media apps, or play games in a less cramped way, and all of this can be done on either screen. Obviously it's a little bit smaller on the outside screen, but you get the idea. The battery life though, could be better. With that said, at 4,400 milliamps, it's actually smaller than the Z Fold 2, but the life is pretty much the same. Getting through the day is easy, but I do notice that it kind of just drains. Still, easy to make it through the day, but heavy gaming does not leave you with much battery. But at least you can charge it pretty fast, being 25 watts of wired charging and 11 watts of wireless charging. And if you're actually getting decent battery life, you can do reverse wireless charging to charge some headphones, a watch, or even a phone. Though I wouldn't recommend the last one unless you're trying to just get like 5 or 10% on that phone. My favorite thing about Samsung phones is that they're pretty much easy to use. We are running Android 13 on here, actually being One UI 5.1, so operation-wise, you get pretty much the same thing as the Z Fold 4, including that little dock that I never use and can swipe away. But the operating system is quick, fun, and just makes sense. And if it doesn't to you, there's a search feature that pretty much everywhere has. To get into the phone, we do have the fingerprint scanner that sits in the power button, but you can also use Face Unlock, which I find to be just as fast, but more reliable. Also, the phone supports the S Pen. For me, I don't care at all. But I know for some people they absolutely love this feature, even if the pen has to be the Fold edition and you can't do Bluetooth stuff that probably no one cares about. And lastly, there's no slot to put this pen unless you have a case. But this phone isn't perfect. For me, the outer screen isn't a game changer, but more of a settling mechanism. Sometimes opening up the phone is weird or not needed in this situation, so it's nice having the outer screen, but it definitely isn't the best design. Like I've said for many years, I wish they put an ultra screen on here, but I'll still be waiting. Probably until next year. It still looks really nice though, and sure, it is glass on the front and back with metal wrapping around the phone, but the inside is literally plastic. Now, it's not as terrible as it sounds, but it definitely makes the phone feel less premium. It also collects a lot of dust and will sometimes make sounds when you open up the phone. But hey, at least it's water resistant. The folding aspect is a gimmick, truly. Getting a larger screen, that's awesome. But splitting the screen into two weirdly attached screens that now might have some glare? Why? You can use it like a nano laptop, and I hated the 11-inch MacBook Air, so why would anyone want this? And when you have it open like this, the camera area is kind of heavy, so the phone might fall over. And then the camera does have a little bit of a bump, so now the screen is tilted. To me, it's strictly a gimmick for those that want to be productive, even though it's not. Speaking of gimmicks, we have the cameras. Okay, there's really two gimmicks about the camera setup, but besides that, we're looking at pretty much the same as the Z Fold 2. The rear sensors are the same aperture, focal length, and megapixel, but there is different glass that covers and reduces some glare, and some is an overstatement. The front is the same too, but the inside one is a 4 megapixel sensor. Yes, 4 megapixel sensor that comes with free lens distortion. This is because of the plastic screen and the pixels that are above that camera. But yeah, it does not look good. The outside one is a standard 10 megapixel sensor that, just like the 4 megapixel one, does not focus. You still get decent photos, 4K at 60 frames per second, obviously only on the 10 megapixel sensor, so that one is not completely worthless like the inside one. It's really just the same as the one on the Z Fold 2. Then we have the rear cameras, which are 12 megapixel sensors with an ultra wide, standard, and 2x telephoto sensor. They all produce pretty nice shots, just, 12 megapixels on an $1,800 retail phone. But it is Samsung. They know how to make their shots look amazing, and even the video being 4K at 60 frames per second as well. Here's a little slideshow for you, so enjoy. I don't hate these cameras, but as always, I feel like they're lacking for the price point. Well, here we are, the last part of this video. This is where I come in and tell you that this is the best phone ever, but it's not. This is still kind of a niche phone. Clearly, an S21 Ultra or even an S22 Ultra would be a better move, and possibly around the same or cheaper price, but only if you don't like the folding aspect of this phone. While the camera set is smaller in many ways, normal shots are going to look very similar to the Ultras, minus the low light capabilities. This phone is for those that know they want a folding phone, obviously. I say that because I see people buy the Flip all the time and wish they never did. I'm a heavy believer that flip phones are pointless. Folds are still new and awesome products that are never worth the retail value. But I mean, come on, $500 for this thing? I wish that I paid that much for this gimmick machine. I don't hate this phone, but I also don't feel special using this phone. With that said, this and the Zenfone 9 are my two phones that I love going back to. I don't know why, but there really is something special about the Z Fold 3. The inside screen is too small for me to call this a tablet, but it totally comes in clutch when viewing full screen content or showing someone a picture from across the room. And that's my review of the Z Fold 3, the perfect fold to break the mold. But what do you think? Comments in the comment area, and as always, thanks for watching.